And we're live. Ooh, we live. Hey, y'all. We are live. I wanted to see which everything does look in frame. So, yeah, I think we are good. Everything is in frame. Okay, I'm not going to touch nothing because you know when I touch stuff, um, I let my Instagram know, my Instagrammers. Sorry, everybody on IG. I just posted. Tell your people, like, share. We are live. We are doing this. Makeup Fridays. It's happening. Hey, y'all. Hey. I see y'all coming in. Welcome. And happy Friday to you, wherever you are in the world, whether you are, I don't know, in the Midwest, down south, up north. Hey, I am, yeah, like I said, y'all, I am still sending off things, letting folks know, and getting it in. So I am just trying to repost and reshare things. How y'all doing? How was your week? How's your Friday? I wonder if I can. All right. But no matter what, folks are coming. Like I said, I have given out enough. Like I've been posting. I started posting y'all yesterday because I actually was late to doing that because I had originally had this one already like up and ready to go on my channel. So it was just a matter of time of me, like sharing it. So I know your girl was late to her own sharing for the live. So I'm sorry. Oh, sorry, y'all. But no matter what, welcome. I know I'm just yapping right now, but I want to welcome y'all in because I know it's been a minute. The last time we were together, what it was, remind me, like 2 Fridays ago, yes. And we what did we do? We did a full face. So that was a really excited one because that was a lot of makeup that I covered in that one. And I was also on social media and asking a few, like just asking around, like, hey, what are some of the things that y'all need, y'all need some help with, and I want to, make sure that I'm reaching out to, my family and know what it is that y'all are needing. And I got a lot of good responses from that. So I wanted to make sure that I paid homage to those people, or just, make sure that I came on and got it in with those requests. I also posted a video not so long ago with my hydramate. So I got my water tonight, y'all, because your girl got to stay hydrated, especially in this room. Like sometimes it gets hot with these lighting, all of this going around me, but this room is also hot in and of itself. So yeah. But welcome, y'all. Welcome. Like I said, happy Friday to y'all. I hope that y'all have had an amazing day. Like how many days now we have in 2020? We don't have that long. It is already like basically the middle of November. So we are almost out of 2020. Praise God. And we are just praying for newness in 2021, right? Period. But nonetheless, I'm excited to see what the new year brings. So yeah, but I pray for you all also to, have some things that you've been believing in coming into the new year. I know that we're all wanting, to have a better turnout in the new year. So yes. Hey sis, welcome on. I know, and shout out to my sisters jumped on. I didn't even say nothing tonight. Like I said, y'all, I was kind of late with posting things this week, but I'm glad that y'all was still able to catch the live. Because I know I've had people say in the past, like, you were live and I didn't even know. And I'm like, I know, I'm sorry. So I'm definitely going to try to do better. But With the lives though, real quick, I actually want to already have them stashed in my little like live area on YouTube so they can just be like a reoccurring thing. But I don't know how to set it up as reoccurring. If there's anybody that's tech savvy with YouTube out there, please let your girl know. But also, I'm doing my research too and just trying to finesse with things over here. But nonetheless, I am definitely going to continue to make sure that I post and things like that ahead of time. I'm glad that I even was able to say something last night. But I definitely know that folks were able to, see it last night too. Like, even though it was just like, just last night, I had a lot of people still able to see it. But that is all well. But I know folks are still on their way. I did enough posting. But we are just going to go ahead and move forth. Y'all, I pray every time that I hop onto YouTube just because I'm like, I love my Jesus. And hey, like when God is in it, period, you are good. So I just, I want this to flourish always. So that is why. But welcome on in, y'all. Tonight, I know for this Makeup Friday episode, or whatever you want to call this little segment, a part of the Makeup Fridays deal, I was requested to focus on foundation and eyebrows. And also, I know it came a little bit later, but eyeliner. So sis, I got you the winged eyeliner. I got another request on that, but I know that I definitely got the brows. I at least got that a couple of times. Y'all, that's odd. I'm walking in the back. I got the brows a couple of times and the liner and the foundation. So that I definitely think that is some of the major things too, especially in the makeup world. So I know like those are some of the things that often people struggle with, especially when starting to maneuver into like wearing makeup or doing their own makeup. Because a lot of times we don't initially start like doing somebody else's makeup or doing makeup correct. Sometimes we start out and we finagle with a lot of different things. And most of the time, what is it usually that people start out doing is brows, right? Like everybody wants to have their brows and really, because for one, yes, having the brows, having a nice brow for one, and some really nice groom eyebrows just overall gives your face some sass. It gives like your face, like it makes you feel complete, even if you don't have a lot of makeup. I know foundation is also one of those things too, but I know a lot of people, when it comes to foundation, some people wear it, some people don't. Some people who, and I'm not, putting myself down, but a lot of people that I know may not suffer from like, or may not have like acne prone skin or not like blackheads, a lot of, blackheads or whiteheads and all that kind of stuff, exhibit what I got going on my cheeks, which y'all, once again, I've struggled with acne for a long time. So that is nothing that I'm sitting here putting myself down. But I know that foundation is another one of those things. So I'm actually really, really glad that somebody threw that out there, because I know that is also a very big thing that people who are beginners to wearing makeup or just doing makeup in general may struggle with it a little bit. Also, not to mention, a lot of times it's really hard to find like your right shade for foundation. Whew, that's a whole nother that is a whole nother thing in of itself, right? So, but yeah, I definitely wanted to hop on tonight and focus on those things and give you all, my family, what you all requested. So I am already set up and ready to go. So what I have here with me, because I just actually, for me, before I apply any foundation or any makeup, I always want to start out with a clean canvas. I just think, or a clean face, because I definitely feel like I don't want to pile on any like makeup. And sometimes a lot of, products can have ingredients that may not necessarily be, 100%. I would just say pure. I don't want to put that stuff onto a dirty like base. So I definitely try to make sure, and regardless of the makeup, I am just somebody that has, really gotten in tune with skin, especially because I've kind of been forced to, especially with my skin being sensitive. I have sensitive skin for anybody that's wondering. And I also have oily skin. And I know a lot of us, especially I hear a lot of chocolate girls, we say like, yeah, I have oily skin, and we know the times of the year that our skin just gets it. And for me, it's definitely the summertime. But in the fall, I get a little bit of a break. I start to see my skin changing up a little bit, and so I also have to adapt with my skin. But for sure, you guys, I definitely try to make sure that I wash my face beforehand. So speaking of that, right before I jumped on, I promise, like I didn't just, not wash my face. I just washed my face, y'all, not too long ago. So that's why I'm looking a little bit dry, but I did that intentionally. I didn't moisturize or anything, but I do want to show y'all what I use to cleanse my face with. I use this Neutrogena Naturals products, and this is their purifying facial cleanser. This is actually a product that I'm new to using. I have used the moisturizer, a part of this line before. Y'all know I've seen this. If you've been on my channel before and you've seen some of my skincare videos, you know that I've talked about this a bunch. Even in some of my makeup videos, I shouted out this product because it's just an overall really great product. And I have really loved, like my skin has been in love with this, especially during like the winter, fall time, because it's really like a really good, I would say, moisturizer that'll give you a really nice glow, and it won't tamper with your skin. And you can also wear this like underneath your makeup without like a primer or anything like that. So like I said, I just cleansed my face with this, so I'm already good to go. When I'm normally taking like my makeup off at the end of the day, I usually use makeup wipes. So I just love a good Walmart brand, like the Equate brand makeup remover wipes. I go with those. If you're wondering, that's what normally works for me. And I also have been cleansing my face with this, and I'll normally like cleanse twice, but that's when I'm removing my makeup. And so because I've already just gone ahead and cleansed my face, I'm going to moisturize it. So that's why I'm looking pretty ashy in the face. But I did that intentionally because I wanted to kind of cover like the skincare portion, because I know oftentimes we want to get to, right into the makeup, and but a lot of times we have to make sure that we're taking care of our skin, because, it's one thing to really, look nice and have a really nice makeup application, but it's another thing when your skin is just all out of whack. So although no, my face might necessarily be the most clearest, I feel like I can't get away with not talking about skin, because a lot of people may look at me and go, oh, she has blemish prone skin. And I don't think that people are negative about it. I haven't got any negative feedback about my skin, but because, like I said, I feel that because I have skin that is acne prone, does have blemishes and things like that, I naturally have to talk about it, because I know that I am trying to better my skin. And so that's also a layer that I try to make sure that I work into my routine when I am going through makeup. And so, yep, y'all. So I moisturize my face, and that is what I do. I cleanse right before I do my makeup. I don't move on to, primer or anything. I have to do my cleansing stuff first. That's like my go-to. Then after that, I get into the makeup portion. So if I am going in with a pretty full coverage, most of the time, like if I'm wearing foundation, which is almost always whenever I wear makeup, I never see myself like just going out the house without foundation on, unless I'm like not necessarily in the mood to wear foundation, which that's been, I don't know, like that's very rare for me. But normally when I'm wearing makeup, I'm always wearing foundation. So under my foundation, because I do have sensitive skin and oily prone skin, I definitely like to use a primer. Now, I know that this is definitely an optional step a lot of times for people, because I've heard a lot of different controversial points about primer. Some people say it's a gimmick. It's just another like strategy companies use to make money. But also I've seen like a lot of people benefit from using a primer, because like primers normally I like to use the analogy that the primer is like a barrier between your skin and whatever products that you use as a foundation. It's essentially like a protective barrier between your skin and your foundation. So that is why I definitely like to go in with the primer. And for me, I would definitely say I recommend using a primer for someone who has oily prone skin or sensitive skin or acne prone skin, any of the alike. And I also want to touch on my folks and my ladies and my folks that may have like more normal to um, I would say normal skin, or even skin that's like tend to get dry, like dry out a lot. Even my folks on that side of the spectrum, I would also say it could be helpful based on your particular skin's health and needs. You may also want to look at a primer if you may see breakouts and things like that, because just because a person may have like oily skin doesn't always mean that oily skin is the most acne prone. Even sometimes dry skin can be irritated and things like that. So maybe having a moisturizer or a primer to even help with protecting your skin's overall health can definitely be beneficial. But honestly, I am one of those folks that will tell you use what works for you more than anything. Like, I can't choose for you. I can't say what's best, but I can only give you like what I've seen based on experience and research. Also, too, I'm going into this field, but that's a whole nother conversation that we'll get to. I know I just threw it out there, but I am thinking about entering into the field of beauty, so we'll get there. For primer, since I I just started applying it and I didn't tell you what I'm using, I just use the foundation primer by the company La Mercier. This is a pretty, I would say, high-end product. That's what I would call like this product line is more high-end. You wouldn't necessarily see this in a lot of drugstores, so you may catch it in like a Sephora or Ulta. But I actually found this not too long ago at TJ Maxx, y'all. When I tell you, sometimes like I go to like some of the retail stores like TJ Maxx, Ross, and Marshalls. I check out the beauty section because a lot of times they have products over there that are high-end products but at a lower price. So that's just my little plug. If you've never like noticed the beauty section in some of these retail stores, definitely check it out, sis. Like, they have some good stuff. And I found this product, which is normally like $17, for like $10, like $11 not too long ago. So I say I love shopping at, I love the beauty aisle at those stores. All right, so like as promised, you all requested me to go over eyebrows. That is one of the, I would say, parts of my makeup, or when I'm wearing makeup, that is one of the things that I'm often complimented on. It's like my brows. People are always asking me how you do your brows. One thing about me, whenever I do my eyebrows, the first thing that I would say is I have to do my brows with a certain product that I know works for me. Everybody has their own special thing. For me, what I've learned to love is eyebrow pencils. The one that I use is by Wet n Wild. Now, this one that I have right now is it's pretty much almost done. It's very small, but whenever I usually get these pencils, they're pretty much about this size. Pretty big, right? Yes, these things last forever, and that's why honestly I love these. Love this as a product for my brows. I've used this for years, probably since I started doing my brows. And so once again, like I said, this is the Wet n Wild Color Icon Kohl Eyeliner, and the color that I usually use for my brows is called Simma Brown now. And yeah, so it's pretty long, and I normally can find these products wherever Wet n Wild products are. So honestly, because they normally always have like their brow pencils and liners and stuff like that at mostly all drugstores. So I have the color Simma Brown now here, and this is what I'm going to outline my brows with. So I'm going to go ahead and pull out. I already have the pencil. I just took my little. I usually like to use now this I would technically call this like, or this is technically called like a lash, kind of brush and comb, but I've often used this tool to like use for my brows. There's other tools out there. You have these kind of brushes that you can use, which are pretty simple. But you also have like spoolies, like these kind of products. I've used either or over the course of time of doing my brows, but most comfortable. What I'm most comfortable using is this. So I've already just gone ahead and brushed down my hairs in the natural shape of my brow, just to make sure that those are just in place and groomed well, and that I have a base, like a base point to go by when I'm lining my brows. So what I do, I like to take my pencil, my little brow pencil, and what I like to do is outline starting at the bottom of my brow. So I like to just use light strokes and outline the shape of my brow as it naturally is. And I start on the bottom, like I said, as you see, and I just simply outline it very lightly. So boom, that's our first piece of doing our brow. Very simple, and a good place to start if you like are, this is a struggle point for you. I always have seen if you can use like the pencil or products as like a good I would say line up for you if you sit on like the edge of your nose, and wherever the tip of the pencil lands is where you want to start. So the tip of this pencil, like where I'm holding it, basically is pointing to the area where I had already started. So that's kind of like an area, that's kind of like a way you can see where to start. And then as I have showed, I've already got our first part. Now I'm going to go on top of my brow, and what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to take my pencil and I'm going to start a little bit before where that bottom liner is. I'm going to start just a little bit backward, because I actually want to keep that front of my brow pretty light, because naturally the front of our brows are naturally lighter than the remainder. So I like to keep it pretty light. So I just draw a little bit back, but I just outline the remainder of the top of my brow very lightly as I did the bottom. And I definitely try to use the natural shape of my brow to best gauge how to outline it, because sometimes like we have those extra hairs that are like not as thick, and you may like get distracted by those and cover those. But nope, just use the very shape of what your brow is and gauge, and that'll help you gauge best on how to outline it. So there we have the outline of my brow. It looks pretty crazy right now, but y'all continue on with me. I promise there's there's an end to this. So now that I have my brow outline, I'm going to go in the middle of my little brow, of course, where the hairs are. And I'm just going to fill those in really naturally, not very harsh with my pencil, because we've already technically got a lot of product on there based on the outline. So I just really want to be very light when I'm filling in the inside. So I'm just lightly going over the inside to give it some coverage. All right. And so for me, what I do to one brow, I always just do it to the other, just so I can kind of like move on and not spend a lot of time on one, but I can kind of multitask. So once again, as I did with the first one, I'm going to place my pencil there just to see where I can best start. So it lands right here. And you don't necessarily have to do that every single time. Over time, you will get it, just like I did. I didn't start out using that. I just showed y'all, like, if you are struggling, this is kind of where you can start. But I just, over time, you definitely get it. So I can go ahead and already just start. So I'm outlining the bottom of my brow first and using very light strokes. Right, and then the top of my brow, once again, not starting in the front, but starting, I would say, like a little bit right here. And we'll just outline. All right. So very lightly, y'all. And then in the middle, I'm just going to lightly dust over the hairs. And there we go. Pretty simple. I know it can be a hassle to start out doing this at first, and it looks pretty crazy. But I would say like this way has been something that I've used for the past couple years. Found this method, like I said, about 2 years ago, and it has really worked for me. So now that we have our brow outlined, we're gonna go ahead and blend this in. So I'm gonna start on my right eyebrow, just like before. I'm gonna take my pencil and I'm gonna first start in the middle and in the beginning of my brow. I didn't do that initially when I started outlining, but for this point, I want to blend that beginning point in because that's the point where it kind of is broken right now. So what I'm going to do, and what I usually like to do is where that line is in the beginning where we see, I'm going to brush that upward. And that'll allow that product to blend in with the rest of my brow and just attach itself there. And then what I'm going to do is just brush over it, just kind of brush into my brow. And as you see the beginning of that brow, yes, it did blend in, but it is a bit lighter, but there's some coverage there still because we didn't completely cover it, right? We just had that line and then we just blended it in. But I'm just brushing inward into the rest of that brow because I want that beginning to essentially blend in with the remainder of the brow. So I'm just going to brush that product inward. And then just continue on and go over my brow just to make sure that everything is good and blended. And there we go. Looks very messy right now. That is okay. For the most part, you have blended, you have everything together. That is a good place to start. Now moving on to my left brow, doing the very same thing. With the beginning of that brow, I'm just going to brush that line upward to blend it in with the remainder of my brow and essentially connect it to the rest of my brow. And I'm going to blend over into the remainder of my brow so that we can connect it and just continue to blend. One thing that I've heard about brows that is true, they may not be identical. They may be cousins, but not twin sisters. And that is okay. Meaning they just may not look alike. And that is fine. That is fine. They may have like a different kind of shape. So I get where that's true because I've definitely seen it. All right. So for the most part, I am pretty blended here. Everything is connected and blended. I now want to clean this up because it is looking cray-cray. So what I'm going to do is take my favorite all-time product, concealer product that I like to use. One product that I like to shout out, I've used this for so long, is the LA Girl Pro Concealer. I want to hold up the three that I currently own because these are pretty good. These are very multi-use. I have different colors and I love these things. You can normally find them at a beauty supply store, but I know that you can also purchase them from Amazon. I've done that in the past as well. Here in my local town, I've been able to find it at a CVS. So that is also another place that you may check. But LA Girl is definitely stepping it up. I've even seen them in Ulta stores. So I've just covered a variety, but you can find them at Ulta, Amazon, the beauty supply, even some of your local Walgreens or CVS stores may also carry them. But the shade that I have that I normally use to clean up around my brows is Chestnut. And I like to use this shade because it's pretty close to my skin tone. And I love that because most of the time I don't necessarily wear like eyeshadow. I'm usually like a foundation. Normally it's like 5 days a week. I on the regular wear like just foundation, mascara, like liner. And so I definitely want my brows to look connected to my foundation color. So that is why I use the shade because it's pretty close to like my skin tone and my foundation color. So I love that this product comes with like a little applicator, like a little brush applicator. So I normally just take what's on there and I use that to apply the product. But what I do, I just kind of utilize once again the shape of my brow to apply the product. So I'm just going to use the little applicator and go ahead and apply it. Just outlining my brows. This is going to allow for me to have a little bit of support while when I start the cleaning up process. this. All right. So I normally take like a little flat brush, or I know this is like a duo-ended brush that I've been using here. I also have other shapes, but that is just one that I've used this so much. But I would say lately here, I've really been enjoying this more lengthier brush by Eco Tools. Actually, both of these are by Eco Tools, but this is another one that I enjoy using. It's a little bit bigger, but I love the shape. It's pretty flat. So I'm going to use this just to go over that. Just once again, using it to outline my brow, but just smooth it out and carve out that brow. Give it a nice, clean outline. And as you see, this color technically blended right into my skin. So that is what you want, especially with a natural brow. So we are pretty good with the underline of my right brow. I'm going to do the very same thing to my left. Sometimes if I don't have enough product on the applicator, I just squeeze out enough. And then going over this, like I did with my right brow. Using it just to outline underneath and carve out that brow. All right. Once again, taking that brush and going over it. Sometimes when I feel like my brows, I want them, if they won't be twins, I at least want them to line up together. So when I see that there's one lower than the other, I at least just try to use that concealer to line them up so they at least start the same level. Because you don't want uneven brows, sis. Like, come on. You want them to be in unison. All right. So for the most part, we are good with the level of our brows. Now I want to move on to the top. Sometimes I can get away with not cleaning up around the top of my brow, but most of the time I want to make sure that my brows are not super duper thick. Like right now, I feel like these brows are super duper like thick. Not my normal brow shape, because I feel like the shape, yes, I outline my brow, but from the blending process and stuff like that, the brows just became a little bit bigger, and that's okay. But I want to go ahead and just clean up around the top of my brow. So I'm going to use my applicator once again and just take that around the top of my brow, just like I did underneath. And this is what I'm going to use just to kind of clean up around the top. And this will also allow for my brow to look a lot more cleaner. And I can also use this to shape up my brow to make sure that it's not too thick, like I said. You also want to be very careful so that you don't disturb the shape of your brow. Sometimes, based on like the amount of pressure that you apply, you want to make sure that you apply the right amount so that you don't like go over your brow or something, or apply too much of the concealer where you can't really blend it out. It's like simple. So just be very careful to get as close to that line as possible. But if you have to keep going over it just to achieve what you're looking for, don't be shy about that. Definitely continue to, work at it until you get what you need. But there we go. I am pretty satisfied with that length and shape. So I'm just going to go back over with my little brush and just blend out that concealer. All right. Sometimes I just like to clean up also in the middle of that. But normally, the middle of your brow is like that that middle ground that gets a little bit tricky. So sometimes I like to take like the bottom of my beauty blender, like whatever brush, and I just go like right smack dab in between that middle of my brow just to clean up, like make sure that there's not like a unibrow forming or whatever. We don't need that, but I just basically want to make sure that that is nicely blended as well. And it'll also take away if there was too much product used in the area not. But I also like to go back over with my little brush here, and I just like to once again just fade out that beginning and just go over it, make sure that everything looks good. All right. Okay. All right, all right, all right, y'all. I think for the most part, for the most part, we are good. We are looking good. Brows are looking good. And there are our brows. Now from here, if you wanted to like apply like a brow gel just to kind of set the brows, you can. Very optional. If you do want to use one, or at least one that I can say I've used is the Clear Brow and Lash Mascara Duo Ended product by e.l.f. This is the one that I currently own. I know there's so many out there, but this is just a dual ended one that has like a brow, um, clear brow gel and a clear mascara gel just to kind of set both of those. So if you wanted to go over, like I said, you could. You definitely don't have to. Some people like to use like a brow gel on top to set their brows just to kind of give like a like the brows like some kind of like tacky product some kind of tacky product to kind of set them so that the product doesn't move throughout the day, but that it is set in place. Sometimes, depending on the ingredients of the brow gel, you may find one product that really does the job and really gets what you need in terms of helping you set your brows. But this is once again an optional product. You don't have to necessarily use it, it's just optional. But if I had to recommend, this is one that I have used. I think this is actually my second time using it too. I've used it in the past. But that is that. These are my brows. Once again, your brows will not be identical sisters, but they would definitely be cousins. All right. They be in the same family. All right. But the good thing about it is you definitely want to clean up your brows and get them as identical as you can, sis. But if you've done all you can, you just stand. Okay. You just stand for what they turn out to be. But I love that. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love that outcome. And I think we are good with our brows. If you have any questions, definitely drop those in the chat. I definitely want to give y'all any feedback if you need anything clarified or if I need to run over anything else. But for the most part, this is definitely just a way that you can use to do your brows, not necessarily the way, but just the way that I do mine. Now moving on, I want to go over the second portion, which is the foundation. I want to put a little bit of balm on my lips, y'all, because a little bit dry. No, once again, I kind of forgot that I didn't moisturize everything. I just washed my face, so I didn't moisturize. Also, speaking of my lips, I normally like to use a lip scrub, especially during the winter time when our hands, our lips get really crusty. This is actually the scrub like that I'm using it right now. It's by St. Ives. It's a sweet passion fruit lip scrub. Pretty good. Something that I'm using right now, but I definitely recommend scrubbing your lips and giving them some care and keeping them moisturized, especially during the winter and cold months, y'all. We got to stay moisturized. All right. So for foundation tonight, I actually want to pick up a couple of my favorite products. I will be using, I really have been enjoying using the Super Stay which I actually am feeling some type of way about even using this on here, but because I'm running out, that's the only reason why, but I know I can get some more. But this I've been loving pretty much this week. I had to be reminded this week why this product is like one of my favorite foundation products. But this is the Maybelline Super Stay Full Coverage 16-hour foundation. Now, this is a foundation that I've picked up because, like, going back to my skin type, I have sensitive skin. I have oily skin. So in a product, I'm looking for a more matte foundation, something that's going to dry matte and not, be like a mousse or anything like that, or a cream that's not going to necessarily dry. You have some products that are like more dewy, that'll give you like a skin-like finish, which that is fine. But you also can have some products that will dry like matte. So it may look super, super dry and just matte, which that I think helps to soak up those oils and give you like a really dry base that will last and not be, caking up and sliding off your face and just, getting really oily throughout the day. So I've used this thing really ratchet. I know, my bad, y'all. But this is one of my favorite products. And like I said, I've been using it throughout this week. I'm only going to put a little bit, so I maybe get that much. But I had to be reminded this week why this is my favorite product. But what I've been doing, I've already, of course, you saw that I prime my face. I've just been dapping the product onto my face so that I can just kind of get it all off and blend it in once everything is on. So I'm going ahead and just applying it. Blend it right into my skin. All right. And this, I actually will say, is my skin color. I actually found this shade I used a product shade that I used to use by a different product line. If anybody's ever seen the Revlon mahogany shade by their full coverage, like long lasting foundation. I can't remember what it's called, but that used to be my go-to. I use that foundation shade to find this, especially when I was looking at it in the drugstore. I know normally you can't open up the products and do all of this and that, but one thing that I know I have been seeing a lot lately, especially on a lot of these like online companies, they'll have like a foundation shade finder. And I know in the past I've shared this website, so I'm going to drop it also in the chat, especially if you are looking for like a tool to help you find your right shade. This online website called Foundation. It's like a website to help you find your foundation match based on maybe like products you've used in the past, yada, yada, yada. You can go into some stores, and I know COVID is a thing right now, to like a Sephora or maybe even Ulta and get your shade matched. The ladies will definitely work with you to make sure that you get that assistance. They have like the little device they use normally now. I know during COVID, they normally let you apply the products now instead of them, but they do have the tools to allow you to still find your shade. But that is a resource that I definitely wanted to recommend. But yes, like I said, I found this particular shade using a previous color that I was using before. Also, too, I wanted to point this. I'm just going to take a little bit, not too much. But I know sometimes like it is pretty hard, even when you've done all that you can. You've done everything to try to find. I know I'm needing to blend it in before it dries down. But another way that I've seen people use to kind of help them find their right shade is using, instead of like their hand. We know our hands are a little bit lighter than our face. A lot of us, it is that way. And even sometimes our arms. Sometimes using the neck is even like it doesn't match our face. So I've seen people use like their chest instead, to kind of like put up the shades against their chest, and that would, help you see if it is identical to your skin. So I'm going to go ahead and apply, just kind of show you all. I'm going to apply this to my chest. And for the most part, I would say it is blending in. Maybe a little darker. I know there's light and there's also too the reflection rather. But for the most part, this is definitely like a way that you can kind of gauge to find your shade. Because it is definitely appealing if your chest and face can match. So you don't see like, I'm just gonna apply the extra product on my face. No wasting, right? Um, so yeah. Also, too, I want to just apply something lighter so you can kind of see the difference. So if I were to apply a lighter shade, once again, I know the light is reflecting and it's not technically showing these the true color of these shades. Let me kind of pull it down. So this is my concealer shade. So based on me just putting this up to my chest, I can definitely see this shade matching up to my skin on my face. Definitely too light. But I would definitely say with this one, though it's a little bit darker, it is blending in. It matches the undertone of my skin, and it gives me that exact around that exact shade of my skin. So I know I didn't have that sitting there for a while. So we're gonna go ahead and blend it in. All right. I most enjoy using if I had to, I would use a beauty blender. But right now, I don't have like one that's soaking wet like I need it to be. I love like using a beauty blender though. Let's see. But also, when I started out wearing makeup heavily, I definitely used um, a foundation brush because that was kind of like all I knew back then. I'm just like, foundation brush, that's the way to go. But no, y'all, I have moved on to the beauty blender. So that is what I mostly use. And what I'm doing, since I'm not around water, I'm just spraying this with my setting spray. Um, so that'll kind of activate it a little bit. So I'm going to take the bottom of my beauty blender and just blend this in. So pretty good shade, right? But what I also will say when it comes to my foundation, I like for it to um, be uh, be a good match for my skin. So I definitely need, for me, it has to be a mattifying. It has to be a mattifying foundation. It has to definitely dry matte because I'm an oily girl. If that foundation is not matte, and I know that the ingredients are more so for like normal to like dry to normal skin, it's probably more than likely going to upset my skin in some way or not last as long as I need it to. Um, so being matte is one thing that I need. Also full coverage. So based on this foundation, and I didn't apply too much. I applied to my cheeks and also my forehead a bit, but I don't see my blemishes at all peeping through. So that's another thing that I definitely need to see in a foundation for me. Normally, I am going for a pretty beat face, I would say. And I want like my blemishes to be covered. Like I want a flawless base for my skin. You definitely have like some variation. So um, you may have your more natural finishes. So, and I also like to go underneath just so I have that blended out. But you have your more natural finishes. Like I said, you may have like a light coverage. So sometimes in products like BB creams and things like that, you may see those give you more of like a light finish. You also have CC creams. Never technically tried to use those because once again, like I've never thought that they would actually work for my skin type, but for folks that may want like a light coverage and they don't want to wear too much makeup, they definitely may go for like a CC cream or a BB cream. You also have medium to full coverage. So that may be for folks that don't necessarily want a full coverage, but they want to kind of get like a little, a step up from just light coverage. But just not too much. For full coverage, folks, doesn't necessarily mean that full coverage means that you have on too much makeup. It means that you are wanting the maximum amount of coverage. So this may be for folks that may have those blemishes or may have like just some dark marks or some discoloration on their face. Because I know there's a lot of us out there that may have, different points of our face that are different colors. It may not be like, an issue where you're trying to match your face to your neck. It may be you're trying to just match your face overall because you have different colors all over your face, which that is definitely possible, folks. I've seen it, and I definitely have known people to have that issue. Um, but full coverage is definitely working for this gal because I do have more so because, like I said, I have the more acne, dark marks and blemishes and stuff like that. So I will say that when I have like breakouts, pimples, and stuff like that, I definitely don't like wearing foundation because for me, I feel like it doesn't look great. And people may think like, oh, are you trying to cover up like your basically trying to wear makeup to cover up the acne. And that's why sometimes like when I am having like a pretty bad breakout, I don't like to wear a lot of makeup because I don't want to be irritating my skin even further. So sometimes when I see that my skin has had like girlfriend be going through, I try to just pull back on the makeup just a bit because I definitely don't want to be adding more things and ingredients and onto that area, like onto those pimples or onto those blemishes that may be continuing to clog my pores and cause additional breakouts. I had that recently. Don't know why. I don't know if it was like products that I was using. I know that I was trying some different like facial products. Like I definitely don't think it was that cleanser that I showed y'all, but I don't know what the heck it was, y'all. I know I've been needing to get my water in, but I was going through. All right, so for the most part, that is my brow and foundation little duo there. I wanted to move on and give y'all a bit of action around the eyeliner because I know some people did ask about it. Now, normally when I would do like a full face, I would do the whole shebang to the concealer and all of that. But I definitely want to focus on the main areas that you all wanted. So what I'm going to do is just take some powder to apply over, I would just say like over my my eyes because I'm specifically working on applying some liner. So I definitely want to set my foundation. So I'm just going to apply my face powder over that. In setting with a powder, I'm more so seeing like the best way I can say it is you have your, whenever you apply a liquid, you want to apply a dry. So if I'm wearing like a liquid foundation to set it, I will want to set it in with a more so like a dryer, so a powder over my liquid so that my essentially that I know it may seem like a lot, but essentially is allowing for you to have a longer lasting wear out of your products. That's it. A lot of like I know well-known makeup artists and stuff like that started doing that, and people were just like, okay, I thought you would just wear like either a liquid or a powder, and that's it. But a lot of folks do like to use both. Like I know for me, especially because I do have acne prone skin, normally just wearing like my foundation like this may not be enough. Like my liquids and oils may start to see through because this is more like a liquid foundation, even though it is matte, but the powder just helps to add that additional layer to set it so that, it can last throughout the day and soak up those oils. So boom, that was y'all's little makeup lesson. If y'all have more questions, like definitely feel free to ask those. But I definitely wanted to go over that. So because I did get a request from my sis about liner, liner is another one of those things that I would definitely say I struggled the most. But I had to find what worked, y'all. I did a lot of research. But I've gotten away with using this product for years. It's the liquid eyeliner by e.l.f., the company e.l.f. This has been like a OG of like their product line. This was around when their products was like really cheaper than what they are now, because you know Elf has blown up and they didn't went up on the prices. And I'm like, just because y'all blew up don't mean that y'all should have went up on your products, but whatever. But you can normally in back in the day, and this was like it wasn't even too long ago. Their products you can find for like $1 and sometimes like $2, but they they were like it. But I believe this is still like $1. I normally could find it $1. I may find it $2, maybe at Ulta because that's just Ulta. But this is a pretty cheap product, but is really good. A lot of makeup artists use it. But once again, this is a liquid eyeliner, and the color that I have is in jet black. I don't know if y'all will be able to see. Oh, you actually can. Yay! It's in jet black, and this is by e.l.f. So I love the little applicator on this. It is super like small enough for me. And I just like it because it's a really good shape to get really close to my eye, to my waterline, and allow for me to like essentially have a product, like a tool that's going to help me create a precise line like I need it. I don't need nothing too thick or whatever. Like the shape really matters to me when it comes to like a eyeliner, of like the tool that I use to apply it. So I'm just take a little bit on the applicator. So I'm going to go ahead and show y'all how I technically apply my liner. So for me, my most easiest eye, just like brows, you will have your favorite brow, and you will have like eyeliner, your favorite eye to apply eyeliner. My favorite eye to apply my eyeliner has always been my right eye, but because it has been always like my right eye, I've had to work just as hard to learn how to apply it to my left eye, because I felt like my left eye is more harder for me to get the shape that I've needed for years. I had to work on really learning how to apply it to my left eye. So like I said, I had to really, even though this is my favorite eye, I really had to work a little bit harder, because it's just kind of like they got to match and you got to learn both, right? But I'm going to use my favorite eye today, my right eye. And I'm going to show y'all, actually, maybe I'll also show y'all what I've learned to do with my left eye. I'll show you both. So starting out with my right eye, got my product. I normally like to outline. I like to draw my line first. So I like to outline my water line first, which the line closest to your lash, like your lashes. It's called like a lash line, but also like your water line would be like the inside of your eye. So I'm going to go around my lash line and just follow the natural line of my lash line and create my outline. So let's do that. Get it really close. I know it may be hard, but that's why I say it really matters on the length and width of the tool that you use. So getting really close to that lash line. I am just outlining it first. I may get away with going into the inner tear duct, but sometimes I just stop right there. I don't take it all around my entire eye. I just may stop right at that point, because for me that works. Like that's enough for me. But I also make sure that I completely outline my waterline, and boom. That's my outline. Now, if I wanted to stop here, some days I definitely just rock this, because I think it definitely gives me a really precise line. It kind of opens up my eye a little bit, gives my eye some definition and attitude. And I can go from here at my mascara or lashes and be good. But when I'm feeling a little fancy, y'all, I like to do my wing. So here's how I do my wing. I've already have my line there, so I definitely like to have that line, so it kind of gives me a starting and end point for my wing. So what I normally like to do is I like to utilize kind of like the tail end of my brow and the outer portion of my eye to kind of create a diagonal line. So I may go right, just kind of start creating that diagonal. And once again, I say use that tip of your brow. It kind of tells you like if you're too out a little if you're too out, if you're too far out, or if you're not far out enough. You just create a diagonal line. So that would be like the base of your wing. And then to get some connectivity, you want to connect a line back onto the line that's connected to your lash line. I'm just going to create another diagonal line, essentially. So starting from that wing, I'm just going to go from there and create a line that connects. So another like upside down diagonal line and connect it. And then there's a little bit in the middle that I'm just gonna fill in. Now this is a pretty long line and thicker wing. Some days you may not want a pretty thick wing, and that is okay. It really depends on you and what you prefer. All right. So y'all, there is my wing. Sometimes I just go over my outline just to make sure that it is thick enough and connected to my wing and that everything is straight and defined. And y'all, that is my first wing. I love wearing a wing line because I have like, I don't know if my eyes are like almond shaped, but folks have always complimented on the shape of my eye, and I definitely feel like wings have just brought some attitude and sass to my eye shape. So I'm going to do the very same thing. Once again, my left eye is not my favorite eye to do liner on, but once again, I wanted to show y'all like you may not be perfect at everything, but you also have to practice to learn it, right? You never learn until you try, until you practice. So though even years later of me doing makeup, I still struggle with some things, and I had to really, like I said, work hard to get my technique down with applying liner to my left eye. But what has worked for me is kind of some of the same ways that I've used on my right eye. So I make sure that I take enough product onto my little applicator. And on my left eye, what has worked for me is starting out drawing my wing first, my wing liner first. So I, once again, just kind of use kind of like the tip of my brow, the tail end of my brow to kind of gauge where I should start and stop. And I create that diagonal line and connect it to my lash line. Here we go. Sometimes your liners, just like brows, may also be cousins. They might not necessarily be identical to each other, but that is okay. You just have to really just kind of measure each other to make sure that they are at least leveled if they are not identical. So like I said, for my left eye, I have normally had to just draw the wing first. That has helped me. And then because I draw the wing first, I really draw the wing. So I'll go ahead and create a line that connects to my lash line. So diagonal. Boom. I'm going to fill in that middle. And then I start to create the outline of my lash line. And for me, I've had to kind of start out from the tail end. Get as close to my lash line as possible. All right. And that's essentially what has worked for me. It may have been not the easiest as I explained it, but more so you may have caught on as I did it, which that is totally fine. Whatever works for how you learn best. Sometimes I don't have to go over the line because I've already done it with my left eye technique, but that is how I best complete the liner on my left eye. not the easiest, and I still have to work to come to perfect it, but it has truly been working out for me, and I've been pretty happy that I've actually know how to apply liner to my left eye now. But that is technically the three things that I was requested to do for this live. Now, y'all, I want to continue to do things like this. So if there are other things that you want me to hop on and cover, because I know there are things that I'm going to cover, but also too, like, y'all, I want this to be about what we all want, not just me. I am definitely willing and open to get you all's feedback on things to cover. But I definitely wanted to make sure that I got on and cover these things because I know that I got questions about it. So I definitely hope that these were helpful. Look, y'all, every single Friday, we are going to be in doing this stuff. If you definitely have, for whatever reason, things get caught up for you, YouTube does this amazing thing. I said it the last time, and they always post the playback on my channel. And so normally it's posted like the next day. So it'll be up here tomorrow. So if you want to refer back because maybe you were on and you saw everything, but you want to refer back because you want to go over the steps so you can start practicing, which I would love that. Definitely feel free. Also, too, I want y'all to start, practicing and, trying these things out for yourself. Not that I'm forcing, but I definitely know that if you all are interested and curious on using these techniques and things, I definitely want to see y'all try them out and send me your results. I definitely want to give you some feedback and compliment and all of that, and just help you in your makeup journey. But for the most part, like I said, you all, this was what I was asked to cover tonight, and I hope and pray that I've done just that. But that is all for tonight, y'all, for this live. I've enjoyed it. It's been more instructional for me, but I this is what I do. It's my passion, so I'm okay with that. But I definitely hope that this was helpful in some way. I know it's not a complete look, but these were just some of the things that I was asked to cover, so I wanted to make sure that I focus solely on those. But y'all catch the playback. If y'all definitely want to continue to refer back to these techniques, and feel free to once again reach out if there's something else that you love me to cover, and also continue to comment if this was helpful. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all for hopping on with me tonight, and I pray that you have an amazing weekend. Until next time, loves. I'll see y'all then.